Hebrews. This is Israel Wake Up. It's our Women's Advanced Bible Study Night, 29th of May, 2025. Okay. What I'll be doing is I'll be reading out of the book of Exodus, the book out of the Targum. I'm gonna pick up where I was at a couple of weeks ago, because there's a lot of information and I was reading it earlier this morning. And so I'm just gonna go back there and read that and break it down as we go. And we'll look at the difference. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, Israel Wake Up. That's our sister channel, the Prophets of Awakening. Our hours is every Thursday from 7 to 9. It's Women's Advanced Bible Study, okay? Check out the videos, and if you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel, okay? And this is a non-Messianic channel for those that don't know. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance, and the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by our Redeemer and our Savior, the Lord of Hosts. Okay, this channel was created to aid and assist Hebrew Israelite women who are waking up to their true identity. Right? Shalom and welcome to the channel. Welcome to our Women's Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, a prayer, Psalms. We have some women's health moment with Michelle, current events, some need to know information. We open up for Q&A and some dialogue if anybody have any. Then we have our topic for discussion, which is the issue with the 150 mass white nationalists that have flooded the city. We'll talk about that, play the video, and then we'll talk about it. Then we'll do scripture reading, which I said I'll be reading out of the book of Exodus, out of Targums. Okay, we'll read that and break it down. Then we'll pick a scripture and break it down. Then we'll close out. Okay. This moment of silence is for the Lord of Hosts, and all that He's doing to bring about our prophesied deliverance in these last days. Okay. Oh Lord, we come before Thee. We come worshiping Thee because of Thy great and steadfastness and Thy might. Oh Lord, You delivered our forefathers out of Egypt and Babylon with a show of great force. Oh Lord, You foretold that You would deliver us from the hands of our enemies, or the Gentiles. And just as the servant Daniel examined the book of Jeremiah and realized Your coming, oh Lord, You have opened our eyes to these books that have been hidden from us. And oh Lord, we have discovered that You foretold through the prophets that You would come and deliver us. And we are waiting and seeking You, O Lord, or at this hour, seeking and waiting for Your return. Tarry not, O Lord, and stretch forth Thy hands upon our enemies and scatter them. Come from Thy holy habitation and turn back our captivity. Peace be unto You. Okay. And with that being said, I'm going to read the Psalms. Okay. Read the Psalms. Okay. Okay, I'll read 24. It's a Psalm of David. It says, the King of glory. The earth is the Lord, and the fullness thereof, the world, and they that dwell therein. For He hath founded it upon the seas, established it upon the floods. Who shall ascend into the hill of the Lord, or who shall stand in His holy place? He that hath clean hands and a pure heart, who have not lifted up his soul unto vanity, nor sworn deceitfully. He shall receive the blessings from the Lord, and righteousness from the God of His salvation. This is the generation of them that seek Him, that seek the face of Jacob. Selah. Lift up your hands, O ye gates, and be ye lifted up, ye everlasting doors, and the King of glory shall come in. Who is the King of glory? The Lord strong and mighty, the Lord mighty in battle. Lift up your heads, O ye gates, even lift them up, ye everlasting doors. The King of glory shall come in. Who is this King of glory? The Lord of hosts. He is the King of glory. Selah. So that psalm right there says it all to me. Okay, anybody have any comments on that? Questions? Comments? Okay, we're gonna do our women's health moment. You got it, Michelle?
Yes, sir, I do. Shalom, everyone. Please note that the information that is shared is intended for general, informational, and educational purposes only and is not medical advice or recommended treatment. Tonight's discussion is on 7 signs your body has had too much sugar. Did you know that there are over 50 different names for sugar on food labels, which can make it difficult to know how much added sugar you're consuming? So, despite our best efforts to make healthy food choices, you could still be consuming more sugar than you realize. Suppose you're not getting enough fruit and vegetables in your diet and not eating balanced meals made up of lean protein, healthy fats, and unrefined carbohydrates. In that case, added sugars may be displacing other good for you foods. Added sugars are those we put on our food or in our drinks before eating, as well as sugars and syrups that have been added to foods in processing and preparation. Foods with added sugars include sodas, candy, cakes, cookies, pies, fruit drinks, desserts, dairy products, breakfast cereals, and processed foods. Not only are you likely missing out on vitamins, minerals, and fiber, but all that added sugar could manifest itself into other surprising ways that can have various health consequences. So, how do you know if you're eating too much sugar? You have increased hunger and weight gain. If you're consuming a lot of extra calories through added sugars, increased hunger is one of the first signs. Sugar is satisfying to the taste buds, but it doesn't satisfy or fill our stomachs. You will be feeling fatigue and have low energy. Foods don't taste sweet enough, craving more sugar, you will have more acne and wrinkles and cavities. The bacteria in our mouths like to feed on simple sugars. So if your dentist is finding more cavities, or if you've been diagnosed with gum disease, it could be due to in parts of having too much added sugar. Last but not least, mood swings. So, reducing your sugar intake can improve your overall health. While it may seem challenging at first, small and consistent changes can help you cut back on added sugars without sacrificing flavor. Tonight I will be reading from Jeremiah chapter 6, verses 16 through 20, unacceptable sacrifices. Verse 16, thus saith the Lord, stand ye in the ways and see, and ask for the old paths. Where is the good way? And walk therein, and ye shall find rest for your souls. But they said, we will not walk therein. 17, also I set watchmen over you, saying, hearken to the sound of the trumpet. But they said, we will not hearken. Therefore hear, ye nations, and know, O congregation, what is among them. 19, hear, O earth, behold, I will bring evil upon this people, even the fruit of their thoughts, because they have not hearkened unto my words, nor to my law, but rejected it. 20, to what purpose cometh there to me incense from Sheba, and the sweet cane from a far country? Your burnt offerings are not acceptable, nor your sacrifices sweet unto me. Tonight's discussion was on 7 signs your body says you've had too much sugar. And I read Jeremiah chapter 6, verses 16 through 20, unacceptable sacrifices. Shalom, everyone.
Okay, yeah, yeah. It's kind of ironic that I was reading earlier out in the back about the trumpets and the targums. The reason why I'm reading it, but that's gonna come up again. Those when he says hearken to the trumpets. When we started reading it, just see why and what he means when he says that. Okay, so keep an eye out for that when we get there. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
we're going to our current events. What I do is I play the video, and then we'll break down the content. If anybody have any questions or something they want to add to the conversation, then they can do that. So we'll go to the first one.
This next story, we have to have a conversation about lessons to be learned. And I'll present an option. It could be a solution. And you can let me know what you think. 0 to 10. Remember back a few months ago when people lost those federal jobs? And I told you that this would come back to bite people in the ass. Guess who it came back to bite? It came back to bite Black women. I told you this would be a problem, right? Get this, folks. This is the talk of the town. Like this article has people up in arms. Connection here from this article all the way back to the Great Depression, so you can see how this has been a trend. Over 100,000 Black women lost jobs in April. Here's what's behind the surge. First of all, 100,000 is a lot of freaking people. Let's make this bigger for the people in the back. While national unemployment rate remains steady, Black women face the sharpest job losses in April, pushing their unemployment rate to a month-long high, according to recent data released by the federal government. The U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that Black women lost 38,000 jobs, and their unemployment increased by 106,000 last month. Their unemployment rate jumped from 6.1%, up from 5.1% in March. That's a full percentage point increase in just 1 month. So last year, I ran through those unemployment numbers, even under Biden's presidency, and I was trying to explain to people at that time that unemployment rates among Black people in the US were increasing. So the increase didn't start this year, it started in 2024. But this particular report is about Black women, and this all happened in the month of April. It goes on to say data from the digital platform HBCU Money shows the number of Black women employed is at a 5-month low, and their number of unemployed is at a 5-month high. Meanwhile, and this is the important part, meanwhile, other groups saw no significant changes. White women's jobless rate held steady at 3.3, and Hispanic women remained at 4.6, according to the report. Unemployment among Black men dropped slightly to 5.6%, down from 6.1% in March. This is the part I wanted to show everybody, that other groups saw no significant changes. And this is exactly why I said before, and I'll continue to say this. This is what happens when you just focus on a class-only analysis. Because if we are just focusing on class, how is it that none of those other groups saw any significant changes? Now, some of this has to do with the federal employed jobs. This is what I was saying about people losing those federal jobs. This is important to the Black community, because what people have to know is that back in the day,
frozen in time? Don't take slow for an answer.
Okay, any comments so far? Okay.
Rights Act and all that kind of stuff, when Black people were having difficulty finding those jobs through the state or local jobs, the federal government was the one that stepped in and said, we will offer federal jobs to help Black people be able to establish some type of generational wealth. And the numbers still show today, and I'm a living product of this, the numbers still show today that a lot of Black families were able to establish some type of generational wealth and become homeowners by having those federal jobs. When the cuts were made to the federal government with Elon and all his craziness, by the way, he's taken a step back recently, which he needs to just step all the way off. Those jobs that were cut heavily impacted Black Americans because a lot of Black Americans have those federal jobs. But more importantly, Black women. There is a saying that is called last hired, first fired. That saying isn't something that people just throw around. That saying applies to Black women in particular, but Black people, because oftentimes we are last hired, first fired. We'll go into that a little bit more. Let's get back to the article. Overall, the Black unemployment rate rose to 6.3%, continuing a troubling trend. April marked the third month in a row that the number increased. Nationally, unemployment remained unchanged at 4.2. And this is important because it's easy to look at the national unemployment rate and I can say, hey, the unemployment rate hasn't increased, right? So this is how corporate media can change the narrative. If you are media that is pro-Trump, you can easily put up certain data and you can say, look, under Donald Trump, the unemployment rate hasn't increased. But what they won't dive into is the information that I just gave you. Up in Marcy Project's story, when you pulled up the ladder behind you. I don't want to hear all that. It's things like that. And this is not to say that people can't grow and become successful, but there seems to be a recurring story and a recurring theme of Black people becoming very successful and pulling up the ladder from behind them and not helping or teaching other people in the community how they can do the same. That's one part. Stop pulling the ladder up behind you. The second part is this: we really have to have ownership, because it can happen to any one of us. Right now, this conversation is about those federal jobs. And this leads me to worker cooperatives, right? Because with worker co-ops, you at least own a piece of the company. Most of us don't own anything. Most of us don't own the company that we work for. We don't own a piece of the company. We're workers. And that's just how it is for most of us, right? But like I said, as quickly as they can give it, they can take it away. And since you now know that we don't usually have a financial cushion to fall back on, that's really where I feel like the community would come in and be that support. But if the community is also struggling, how are they going to help you? This is why I think, and I heavily promote like Black-owned businesses and people starting and buying from Black-owned businesses. This is why I was so angry about people begging Target to keep their items on the shelves, because once again, as quickly as they can give it, they can take it away. So
okay, any comments on that? Anybody got any comments? Okay.
Shalom. I feel that most of those Black, most of the workers that were of brown Americans, I want to change my words of saying Black, they
Okay.
haven't even got a chance to do a retirement, get into their retirement program that they have there. And most of them were the low ones that's making perhaps $100,000, but that was like half of what their counter workers were making in the same position. So yes, it is terrible.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, go to the next video. Thought this right here was pretty interesting.
The first Memorial Day is not born. Imagine a hidden chapter in history, one where the first Memorial Day is not born from official decrees, but from the heart of freedmen in a war-torn city. This tale, lost to the history book and buried beneath the soil of Charleston, South Carolina. Join me as we talk about the forgotten story of the first Memorial Day. And if you like stories like this, you can find more stories like this at OneMicHistory.com. Also, you can support the YouTube channel, and I have a new channel, One Mic 2. Please subscribe. But without further ado, let's get started. Memorial Day's origins are shrouded in mystery and intrigue. Numerous towns across the United States vie for the honor of being recognized as its birthplace. Among those, Waterloo, New York, or Carbondale, Illinois stand out, yet historians believed that the first continuous commemoration might be in Columbus, Mississippi, where in April of 1866, a group of compassionate women took it upon themselves to decorate the graves of fallen soldiers, turning their grief into a solemn tradition. However, a lesser known yet equally compelling tale comes from freedmen in Charleston, South Carolina. This hidden chapter came to light thanks to David Blight, a professor of American history at Yale University. On a fateful day in 1996, while digging through boxes at Harvard's Halton Library, he stumbled upon a treasure, a handwritten account of the first Decoration Day in 1865. Accompanying this narrative was a clipping from a New York Tribune labeled First Decoration Day. So, in the spring of 1865, the Civil War just ended. The city of Charleston lay in ruins, a somber backdrop against a slow march towards freedom. The war had left many scars, but none more profound than the makeshift prison at Washington's Racecourse and Jockey Club, a once lavish playground for the Southern elite, was now a stark reminder of its cruelty and captivity. Here, in the open-air field of the racetrack, more than 260 Union soldiers perished, subjugated to disease and exposure, their bodies hastily buried into a mass grave. Once Confederate forces evacuated, leaving behind the battered city, an extraordinary event unfolded, initiated by the newly freed African Americans. These men and women who had just endured the shackles of enslavement stepped forward to honor those who laid unremembered in the makeshift graves. And that their first act of liberty was not one of celebration for themselves, but one of commemoration for the fallen. With meticulous care, they exhumed the mass graves, and over 10 days, they reburied each soldier, transforming the site into a dignified resting place. They erected a towering whitewashed fence around the newly sanctified ground, declaring it martyrs of the racecourse. This act was not just about giving the soldiers a proper burial, but it was a profound statement of humanity and grace from those who had long been denied it. And then, in April 1st, 1865, what happened next was truly unprecedented. What can only be described as a collective moment of catharsis. Approximately 10,000 people, mostly Black freedmen in Charleston, South Carolina, gathered at the racecourse. The day commemorates with a parade of 3,000 Black school children who marched holding roses and singing John Brown's Body. They, followed by scores of adults from Aid Society for free Black men and women. But these scenes were not about a solemn mourning, but a peaceful celebration and a tribute to the spirit of the fallen and the declaration of a new beginning. Throughout the day, Black pastors delivered moving sermons, led spiritual hymns, filled the air of hope and renewal, and families gathered for picnics under the warm spring air, sharing stories and dreams for the future. Patriotic songs echoed throughout the day, and as the afternoon wore on, Black and white Union regiments marched around the grave sites in a powerful display of unity. The graves themselves were transformed with a tapestry of flowers filled with sweet scents, mingled with the spring breeze, and the sight was said to have brought a tear of joy to many an eye. It was a heartfelt tribute, a moment of pure human connection from the depths of sorrow and strife. For many years afterwards, the story remained hidden, cloaked in the silence of the white community of Charleston. It briefly resurfaced in a forgotten correspondence in a 1916 letter from the United Daughters of the Confederacy in New Orleans, seeking information about a large parade of freedmen on a horse track at the end of the war. The reply from the Charleston chapter was regretful and evasive, stating that I regret I am unable to gather any official information in response to this. Decades later, Union General John A. Logan led a veterans group called for a National Day of Remembrance for Fallen Soldiers, which was officially marked as Memorial Day, March 30th, 1868. Celebrations began taking place at Arlington Cemetery, and with each passing year, the origins of the day in Charleston grew dimmer and faded from the collective memory of the nation. Fast forward to the 20th century, when the once sacred site of the old racetrack was replaced with urban development, and the original graves were relocated to Beaufort's National Cemetery. Thus, the true origins of Memorial Day were overshadowed by a more formal national observance. However, the story doesn't end there. Many years later, at the Smithsonian's National Museum of American History, historian David Blight shared a forgotten history of the first Memorial Day. After his presentation, an older Black woman approached him, her voice tinged with curiosity and awe. She recounted her grandfather had told her stories of a parade led by freedmen on an old racetrack, stories that she always wondered if they were actually a part of family legend or something more substantial. She asked Blight, "We know stories are true?" Visibly moved, Blight confirmation, renewed interest, and validation to the legacy preserved through family tales but lost to the public knowledge. And as we celebrate Memorial Day each year, it serves as a reminder, not just for those who died in past wars, but also as a strength and resilience to who, despite being oppressed, have contributed profoundly to our.
Okay. Any comments on that?
Shalom. I had heard about this some years ago, and it's definitely something to be proud of as we celebrate, or as I celebrate, the veterans on this call, but also in my family. So yeah, that's definitely some good Black history.
Exactly. Anybody else? Okay, got some need to know information right here. Let me play that.
Donald Trump signed a new executive order demanding that the United States Attorney General Pam Bondi and U.S. Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth work together to find out how we can legally use United States troops on United States soil to arrest United States citizens. This is the big one. This is the moment where we officially become a police state living under a fascist dictator. And you know what's shocking to me? This was signed halfway through the day on Monday. Halfway through the day on Monday. On Tuesday, which I didn't see this till halfway through the day on Tuesday, by the way, this should have been the only news on Tuesday. The only news. I don't give a shit that Tuesday was his 100th day. Let's take a look at everything. Yeah, that's great. Do a quick analysis and move the hell on. He told the DOJ to work with the Pentagon to find out how we can use U.S. troops on U.S. soil. We have now crossed that threshold. And by the way, he gave them 90 days to come up with a finalized plan. So this isn't something maybe we'll do. He's got a timeline on it because he wants it done, I guess, by midsummer at this point. Let me read you this. The executive order is titled Strengthening and Unleashing America's Law Enforcement to Pursue Criminals and Protect Innocent Civilians. He issued several directives, including the establishment of a legal defense mechanism for law enforcement officers. A legal defense mechanism, meaning law enforcement officers are going to be given more clearance to do things that are currently illegal, but they're going to become legal. A crackdown on state and local officials who willfully and unlawfully direct the obstruction of criminal law, including by directly and unlawfully prohibiting law enforcement officers from carrying out duties. A crackdown on state and local officials. Let me rephrase that. Politicians. Donald Trump is directing the Department of Justice and the Pentagon to come up with a plan to use the military to arrest politicians. That's not hyperbole. That's not me overstating this. It's literally what it says. I just gave a clearer definition of what those words mean. Donald Trump is going to use the military to arrest politicians that he doesn't like. Now, you can probably derive from this that he's most likely only talking about the issue of immigration, right? Well, let's never forget we're constantly on that slippery slope. So even if he is specifically referring to immigration, which is not mentioned, so that's a pretty big leap to assume that's all he's talking about, it'll go further from there. Not to mention he's talking about impeding criminal law. Well, guess what? Immigration issues are not criminal law, they are civil. So even by your own definition, you couldn't go after these politicians for having what you call sanctuary cities. But it continues. Section 4 of the executive order, using national security assets for law and order. Within 90 days of the date of this order, the Attorney General and the Secretary of Defense, in consultation with the Secretary of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, and the heads of agencies as appropriate, shall increase the provision of excess military and national security assets in local jurisdictions to assist state and local law enforcement. Within 90 days of the date of this order, the Secretary of Defense, in coordination with the Attorney General, shall determine how military and national security assets, training, non-lethal capabilities, and personnel can most effectively be utilized to prevent crime. So again, don't assume that this is just talking about undocumented people. They don't even mention the word immigration. They just say crime. They're going to crack down on protesters. They're going to crack down on dissent. They could crack down on the media with the United States military. Let me tell you something. If you're an active duty service member, you're about to have to make the hardest choice of your life. Do you allow yourself to be deployed on U.S. soil? Are you going to be one of the people that history is going to look back on that tells us later on, I was just following orders? Y'all will have to make those choices, possibly in 90 days. It's right there in black and white. You will be deployed on U.S. soil and you will be asked to arrest or worse, U.S. citizens.
Right. So before I ask for any questions or comments, it's the same thing with the end times. Is where we at as Hebrew Israelites. Because you don't know that you're a Hebrew Israelite or you don't want to believe you're Israelite, there's gonna come a time you're gonna be caught between a rock and a hard place. You're gonna have to make a decision. So anybody got any questions or comments on that?
Shalom. I think it's interesting. I agree with some of the things that the gentleman said in the video, but I'm also looking at the wider range of things that are going on. Trump's recent presentation at the graduation for West Point, I think it was not received well.
Exactly.
And I think that's telling. They also was hoping for, with Trump's coming back into office, some of the unrest that we saw in 2020 and before,
Right.
particularly the latest being 2020, and you're not really seeing that, at least not from us, which is
Right.
what they want. I think there needs to be, for them to really enact this fully, they need a linchpin. And for some reason, they're not getting it. There's also the factors of all these other things that are going on. He's the sudden fight with him and Putin. That's
Right.
also a factor. We're looking at, I mean, this may just be some tea, but the issue and the open fighting with Elon Musk, Musk going against his plan, which is in the Senate, and got some of those senators to back away from that. I thought that was that he has a lot on his plate to deal with,
Right.
and you know it's just going to be interesting to see how all of this unfolds, because then you know a lot of this could be a distraction for what the real agenda is, and there's always that undercurrent going on.
Right.
But one of the biggest things I think about this whole citizenship thing is I think that this might be a one of the dominoes that may fall with us leaving this place, because this has never ever been on the agenda. Nobody's ever talked about U.S. citizens not being citizens. And so I just think that there's a linchpin somewhere. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's definitely something. In order for the dominoes to fall the right way, something is going to have to kick off, and it hasn't done so yet.
Right. Right. It's what they call that. His rating is bad, and then what he just had the thing he just went down with him and Ramaphosa too, out of South Africa. That was damning. And they got in. I think they just passed the or whatever that is bill or whatever however they do it for impeachment. So all that's coming into play makes sense right here. What this guy's saying. He's trying to bring in the military because he's going to use the military to counter all that. Right. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense what you're saying. So we're going to open it up for some Q&A. Anybody have any questions, comments, or anything about anything they heard on this channel or they came across, they want to talk about it, bring it to the table?
Shalom, if I may. I don't want to talk too much, but I recently have seen a lot of chatter on social media and just online in general about the fallen, the Nephilim, and the Anunnaki, and that all being one race of people, or and even the Greek gods. And so I just been thinking about that a lot lately because I've been seeing it on my timelines.
Right.
And like I said, it's just popping up a lot. And I just was wondering if is anybody else experiencing that, or if you had any insight as to why that may be coming up a lot lately.
Oh yeah. I've been seeing a lot of it. And what I think it is they preparing everybody for what's going to come, what's going to start coming. People going to start seeing and what's going to start appearing because, like I was saying, people think this folklore, but it ain't folklore. It's right there in the scriptures. Matter of fact, I was going to do another video on that. How when I was reading out of Joshua, we said that those 120 things came out of the desert. It's a certain desert they came from, and he described them. That from their waist downward, they had human bodies, and then from their waist upward, they had different animal type bodies. And the first thing it reminded me of was the island of Dr. Moreau. And then from there, you got to go back to what, like I was saying, so many stuff that they didn't made it as like it's mystical or something, or mythical that that the scriptures is talking literal. A prime example is Ezekiel 37. You got all the churches and mega pastors want to say that's symbolic, but he's actually saying he's going to raise up the Israelites out of their graves, regenerate them, put their same spirit that ascended back in their body. So when you go back to this book of Enoch, said it was an event that happened before the Tower of Babel that the Most High turned a lot of people to animals. Anybody remember that?
No, I don't remember that. Can you talk about it?
I got to go. I'm gonna bring it up probably maybe for the evening Shabbat class.
Okay, thank you.
I included in that because I got to go back and get the verses and the information. But yeah, so all that's tied together. Like I said, then even the other video that we watched it, I got to recall that guy was showing how those a satar is exactly what Joshua was describing. And he most I keep on mentioning satar, which is a half goat looking creature with hoofs, but it got human looking features too. And that's what Esau mingled his bloodline into. Those people that was in those Horites, they look like that. Okay, and like I had said, which nobody really deals with it, but he said that the tail didn't come down there on the bottom of bottom of their back over their butt. He said they had a tail came out between their shoulders, and they used that tail as a weapon. So the first thing I thought about was the Avatar movie. But anyway, yeah. So because they getting this stuff from somewhere, they ain't just coming up with it, making movies out of it. They getting the information from somewhere. Okay. Anybody got anything else on that? So I'm gonna play some of this. This tied to what we just dealing with for the needs no information about the Trump bringing out an army, using the army to attack civilians. But here we go right here. Okay. This right here takes us right to King Alpha Plan and Pastor Manning.
To get Black Americans out of the streets protesting.
You start over. This is what you were just talking about, Josh. Check it out.
Trump is absolutely desperate to get Black Americans out of the streets protesting. There have been a lot of protests over the last 4 months. And every protest that I've gone to has pretty much been white people exclusively.
Hi guys, welcome to yet another video. It's Bagheera here. So I landed on this man, he's a white man, and a lot of them are starting to realize like, hey, wait a minute. The truth of the matter is Trump is doing whatever that he can to piss off Black Americans so they can go on the street. Because right now, the administration of Trump is using immigrants as the enemies of the USA. But in these guys, they just want to trigger Black people in all ways possible. That's why you're seeing with the Harvard situation, with the DEI, with, putting down soldiers and not recruiting Black soldiers in the army. Like they are doing really the most to kind of trigger Black people to go on the street. Also, when it came to like the person that took down George Floyd, where they were like, they want to let him go out and, be free. Same thing they did when they took down the Black Lives Matter, street and the labels and like doing everything possible to see Black people triggered, and it's not really working. But yeah, guys, let me know what you think about what this man is going to say and, what you think about the whole situation. Is he wrong? Is he right? Yeah, come back and let me know your thoughts on it.
Donald Trump's racist provocations are going to lead to violence sooner or later, and that's what he wants. Recently, he issued an executive order that was basically titled Unleash the Police. And last week, his Civil Rights Division in the Department of Justice, led by Harmony Dillon, did a couple of things. She announced that she is shifting the focus of the Civil Rights Division away from what its focus has been for the last 70 years that made it the crown jewel of the Department of Justice. She's shifting its focus away from discrimination against marginalized communities in the United States, including Black people in the LGBTQ community and women and the disabled, to focusing on discrimination against white Christians in the United States, religious discrimination, discrimination against religious people. And we all saw Donald Trump's treatment of the Black president of South Africa in the Oval Office this week. Donald Trump is absolutely desperate to get Black Americans out of the streets protesting. There have been a lot of protests over the last 4 months. And every protest that I've gone to has pretty much been white people exclusively. And the police have just hung out on the outer edges, leaning up against buildings. The one protest that I read about where there were a significant number of arrests was in Philadelphia, and most of the people that were arrested were Black people, and the majority of those were Black women. A lot of those were older Black women. Donald Trump wants racial violence in the streets in the United States, and he can't get that unless there are Black people, Black Americans protesting in the streets. He wants that, first of all, because he's incredibly racist and he hates Black people, and he really hates Black women, especially educated Black women. But he also wants to use it as a pretext for his martial law bullshit.
Roku Ads Manager puts Roku's reach within your reach.
Any comments on that? What you think?
Shalom. He's absolutely right. But what I think is fascinating to me, and to be able to witness it's sort of like a spirit is, not everybody's an Israelite. So I'm gonna start there, but there's a spirit over Black America, if you will, that has a collective pullback or peace that we're not engaging in and stuff. Now, there's little pockets of stuff that's happening, but not on the scale of what they want. And I think when that linchpin I was talking about occurs, it won't be to their benefit. It'll be the time and the place of the Most High when He's ready for us to come out. And the reason why I believe that is because I have never seen, nor have I ever read about this sort of collectively uh, peace that we're seeing among us in America. I definitely haven't lived through it. I'm only 55, but I haven't seen it either, and or even read about it in history. And there's something about it is a spiritual frequency to it, to me. And like I said, I think when the time comes, whether it be war or it's time for action, it will be because it's God's time, not on their time. And I think that's why they can't provoke us with everything that they're doing. With Langley being in Africa, that's an old playbook where Black on Black, all of that. None of that is working.
Right.
But you do see people, they at the line, but they're not crossing over. It's because it's not at the appointed time. That's my belief.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Play a little more of this.
I saw videos where Black women, like older Black women, were arrested in a protest that happened in May. And I was like, but I did not see them, attack or arrest white people in that protest. And I've not seen a lot of white protest arrests, So when this man says, and when people say they want to see Black people on the street, they do want to see Black people on the street. And they are doing every way possible just to see Black bodies on the street, for them to push some probably like hidden agenda that they are working on, and it's not really working. It's really not working. And this is why a lot of Black people are coming out and saying, guys, no matter what happens or goes on, sit yourself in the house and mind your own business. This is not our fight to fight.
Stay home. And that is a directive. Obviously, we've all seen his immigration policies and practices over the last 4 months and what he's doing to brown people and immigrants. And he wants, he and his supporters basically want an all-white America again. They want white supremacist, male-dominated patriarchy, white male-dominated patriarchy, white supremacist country that is also an authoritarian theocracy. You know, he also, his handpicked U.S. attorney in New Jersey, Alina Habba, who prior to representing him had been an attorney specializing in representing parking garages, and she defended him, such as the case may be, in a lawsuit that he filed against Hillary Clinton and a bunch of other people that resulted in him having to pay over $1 million in their attorney's fees, Hillary Clinton's attorney's fees. She represented Trump in that civil case in New York that he lost, and he now owes the state of New York over $600 million. And she represented him in the second E. Jean Carroll case that resulted in an $83 million verdict against him.
Like I've said it many times before on this platform, okay? The white race is a hate race. Its only purpose is violence and to kill diversity. That's all it is. It's only existed for 500 years, and its sole purpose is control. White culture is a different thing. White culture is us, Irish, Scottish, Italian, Greek, whatever. Yeah, that's our culture. I do believe white people have culture. We have lots and lots of culture. But the moment we call it the white race, we throw our culture away and become a part of a hate race. Now, TikTok, you can flag me and you can stop me from talking about this in every live that you want me to. Bar me for a week. I'll make a video about how the white race is a hate race. And anybody that wants to argue that is a dickhead, straight up. And if you can't see it and you're going to come here and jump up and down about blah, blah, white people this and white people that, mate, if you want some pride, go back to your culture. Find where you come from. Find pride in your culture. Where are your indigenous roots from, mate? We all got indigenous roots somewhere, right? We all come from somewhere. I am just sick and tired of being fucking, constantly shut up because I want to talk about a topic that you people don't want to talk about, or think that I'm being hateful or spiteful or racist or whatever else you think, because it's not the case. I'm just trying to point out something that would heal the fucking planet. That is, if white people got off their fucking high horse of I'm superior because I have white skin and actually started to embrace their culture, maybe we could get rid of a bit of hate. Yeah, that's all I'm saying to the world.
It's really nice to see when white people come out and call out their own. Me personally, I really like to see that, because when they speak their own, always give attention. And when I saw in the comments of, these people's videos, like people were really like, this man is making us look bad and he's really like shrinking our country to the worst. Like, this is not what we voted for. And sometimes I don't even feel sorry for them, but the fact that they are realizing that this man is doing the most to throw their country into trash is kind of like, a bit satisfying to see, I would say. But then I really appreciate when they come out and really like talk about these issues, because we can't be the only ones as Black people of color to talk about these problems and they are quiet. And I love that this man was telling his own to keep on going on the street and protest and like leave Black people out of it, because it's not their fight anymore. It's not Black people's fight to fight anymore.
Okay. Everybody good on that? Okay, we got a topic for discussion. I'll play that and then we'll start reading out of pages out of talking. Here we go. I don't know if anybody heard about this.
What happens when 150 mass white nationalists march through Kansas City? Well, I can show you better than I can tell you.
Yesterday.
It is not honorable to recall their sacrifice while forgetting that country for which they fought and died. They fought for a nation that was proud of its heritage, that was unashamed to say that America was built by and for the descendants of the European race, that was unafraid to say that we have a culture deeply steeped and the Anglo-Saxon traditions of our forebears. Did our ancestors storm the forests of the Argonne, the beaches of Normandy, or the cliffs of Okinawa, so that their grandchildren and their great-grandchildren could be despised minorities in their own home, driven from the cities they built, denied the very same rights they were supposedly dying to protect? We are a disenfranchised, demoralized, and downtrodden people.
So that revisionist history speech.
Well, Nubia provided me with this cost guide that will direct.
Okay.
This patriot rally leader, Thomas Rousseau, giving it about white people being oppressed. Not for a movie. Kevin Costner's not directing this one. This is people really got dressed up in the hot sun to perpetrate this lie. Tell you more about it. 150 mass white nationalists march through Kansas City. Boy, they're quite orderly there. Practice a lot. This is Kansas City, Missouri, Saturday, flooding downtown with Confederate flags, upside down American banners, and chants of life, liberty, victory, and reclaim America. Brazen pop-up rally, they're calling it, that alarmed residents drew fierce condemnation from city officials and civil rights advocates too. This is a pop-up. I thought pop-ups were those things where, you know, you're at the mall shopping or with family getting ice cream, and all of a sudden in the middle of the square, people start dancing and music starts playing. It's this coordinated thing. Well, this was coordinated for racist purposes. So it's a pop-up rally. Demonstration held on the public grounds surrounding the National World War I Museum and Memorial, organized by the white nationalist group Patriot Front, an avowed fascist organization founded in Texas in 2017. They're not even that old. Do they even have bylaws? This is a very young organization.
Okay. Anybody heard anything about that?
Shalom. No, sir, I haven't.
I have. I heard about the marching.
What you heard about that?
It was just that they were marching. I saw a couple of videos on it online. The only thing that I thought about it was it's just provocation, or they're trying to get us out in the street. I think it's interesting that you talk about white pride, but yet you wear a mask, so you don't want nobody to know who you are. And the funny part about it is, people were talking about, or at least the people I saw were talking about boycotting. What is it? What's the name of the company that when you're moving, U-Haul? Because I think apparently they this group and another group a couple of months ago was using U-Haul to transport themselves to these rallies. And so, yeah, I thought that that was interesting. Another little part of, you know, the corporate component of all of this, that they're utilizing these U-Haul companies or trucks to transport themselves to these rallies, and then that they're marching and spewing all this stuff, but yet you're still hiding behind some sort of mask. If that's who you are, stand on it.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. So with that being said, I said I was going to read out of Exodus. I wasn't quite sure where I had stopped reading out of this Targum, the book of Exodus, but it's from the Targum, so I'm going to start back reading it now. There's a couple of things I wanted to. I'm hoping I'm going to cross it over while I'm reading, so I can shine a light on it, because it had a lot of information in it. So I'm in the book of Exodus in the Targum, and I'm gonna read, and as we read, I'll be breaking it down. So I think this is Exodus. I think like 19. Okay, it says, let me get it. Go back some, so I start in a good place. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, here we go. Okay. Yeah, I was talking about how that a lot of people don't really understand that part about when Moses met Jethro, and who Jethro was, right? So I'm gonna start right there. Okay, it says, here we go. It's chapter 18. It says, when Jethro, the priest of Midian, Moses' father-in-law, heard all that God had done for Moses and for Israel, his people, and the Eternal had brought Israel out of Egypt. Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took Zipporah, Moses' wife, after his having sent her away, and her two sons to him, to whom the name of one was Gershon, for he said, I have been a stranger in the land, I've been a stranger in an alien land. Let's take you back to what, like I was saying last night. This part of the prophecy in Ezekiel, in Genesis chapter 15, they trying to put it over here in America. But he told them they was going into Abraham to send his descendants after he passed away. He was going to live to a good old age. He was going to die, and his descendants was going to go into a land where they strangers at. That's what it says. His boy named, Moses named him Gershon, and that Gershon means I have been a stranger in an alien land. That take you right to Genesis 15. And the name of the other son was Eleazar, for God of my fathers said, he would mine help, and he delivered me from the sword of Pharaoh. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, came with his sons and his wife unto Moses into the desert, where he encamped at the mountain of God. And he said unto Moses, I, thy father-in-law Jethro, am come unto thee, and thy wife, and her two sons with her. And Moses went out toward his father-in-law and prostrated himself. So we got to let that friend make. Moses prostrated himself to Jethro. So Jethro was they downplayed Jethro. You're going to see that in a minute. So it says, he prostrated himself and kissed him, and they asked each other of their welfare, and they came into the tent. Moses related to his father-in-law all that the Eternal had done unto Pharaoh and unto Egypt for Israel's sake, and all the travail that had come upon them by the way, and how the Eternal delivered them, the way he delivered. And Jethro rejoiced for all the goodness which the Eternal had done to Israel, whom he had delivered out of the hands of Egypt. And Jethro said, blessed be, check it out. And Jethro said, blessed be the Eternal, who have delivered you out of the hands of Egypt and out of the hands of Pharaoh, who have delivered the people from under the hands of Egypt. Now I know that the Eternal is greater than all the gods. Here we go. That's how we know we're dealing with an angel. And now I know, Jethro talking, I know that the Eternal is greater than all the gods. That's lowercase. That's fallen angels. All the gods, for it is in the thing when they acted presumptuously that punishment came upon them. And Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, look at this. Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering and sacrificed for God. And Aaron came and all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses, father-in-law, see that, before God. And it came to pass on that morning, the morrow, that Moses sat to judge the people, right? So look at what just happened. Same thing in Genesis 18. 3 angels came to Abraham and they sat down and ate. So right here it says, and Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, took a burnt offering, sacrificed for God, and Aaron came, and all the elders of Israel to eat bread with Moses' father-in-law before God. And it came to pass on tomorrow that Moses set to judge the people. And the people stood by Moses from the morning until the evening. And when Moses' father-in-law saw, check it out, when Moses' father-in-law saw all that he had did to the people, he said, what is this thing that thou doest to the people? Now, like I was saying, you got to go back when I was explaining to you a stranger in Israel. You got Hebrews. They're not Hebrew Israelites, but they're Hebrews. Because they came, Abraham and Isaac wasn't a Hebrew Israelite. Abraham and Isaac was Hebrews. They became Israelites when Jacob name was changed and he had the 12 sons. But all the people before that, it's the same race of people, but all the ones before that was Hebrews. A lot of them still alive. So if they come to the land of Israel, where the temple is, they got all the same rights as anybody else. So keep that in mind as we read. So he says, and so this Jethro right here. Jethro ain't no Hebrew Israelite. He's from when Moses died. Sarah died, and Moses married another woman, Keturah. She had 7 sons. And one of her sons' name was Midian. This is where Jethro came from. And so Jethro, obviously looking at this, he was taught by Moses. He was taught by Abraham. Right? So let's look at it. So it says, he's looking at Jethro, looking at what Moses is doing. He said, what is this thing that thou doest to the people? Why sittest thou, look at this, why sittest thou thyself alone? And all the people are placed near thee from morning until evening. And Moses asked unto his father-in-law, because the people come unto me to inquire of God, right? And when they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge. Remember what I told you? He brought the Levites, the priests, the Yahweh, or Michael as a judge. He brought them to himself to help him judge the earth. They didn't keep their bargain. That's how he got over here. So he says, when they have a matter, they come unto me, and I judge. Moses talking. I judge between one and another, and I do make them know the statutes of God and his laws. Right? And Moses' father-in-law, check it out. Moses' father-in-law said unto him, the thing that thou doest is not good. Check it out. Thou wilt surely wither away, both thou and this people that is with thee, for this thing is too heavy for thee. Thou art not able to do it thyself alone. Now check it out. Hearken now unto my voice. Let that frame make. This Moses' father-in-law said nobody seemed to know anything about it. So he says, hearken now unto my voice, and I will give thee counsel. So where he get his knowledge? That he can give Moses counsel. Moses talking to the Lord of hosts. So he says, hearken now unto my voice, and I will give thee counsel. And God shall be with thee. Be thou for the people to guard with, that thou mayest bring the causes unto God, and thou shalt enlighten them in the statutes and the laws. Let's see if anybody catch this. And make them know the way wherein they must go, and the deeds that they must do. Moreover, here you go. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of the people. Look at this. Moreover, thou shalt provide out of the people men of ability, such as fear God, men of truth, hating lucre, and put such over them to be officers over 1,000, officers of 100, officers of 50, officers of 10s, and let them judge the people, right? That's why he took the Levites from among the Israelites. And let them judge the people at all times. And it shall be that every great thing that they shall bring unto thee, but every small thing they shall judge. And so shall it be easy for thyself, and they shall bear the burden with thee. If thou shalt do this thing, and God command thee so, then thou shalt be able to stand, and all this people shall come to their place in peace. So Moses hearkened to the voice of his father in the law, and did all that he had said. And Moses chose men of ability out of all of Israel, and made them heads over the people, officers of 1,000, officers of 100, officers of 50, officers of 10, and they judged the people at all times. The hard things they brought unto Moses, but the small things they judged themselves. And Moses let his father-in-law go, and he went his way into his own land. Okay, anybody get anything triggered on that when I was reading? Did that bring back any a light bulb go off? Okay, so in the book of Enoch, right? So obviously this is what Jethro had. Abraham had to give it to him, the book of Enoch. So what happened with the 200 angels that came down? Where they came from? Anybody know that?
They came from heaven, didn't they?
Yeah, but they had roles.
They were watchers?
They was watchers, but what the book said.
I don't know.
They was officers over 10s, officers over 1,000, officers over 10.
So they were leaders.
They was leaders, but my point is this: as above, so below. Same way Israel set up, heaven set up, same way. Remember what he said about Azazel? Azazel was over 10 angels, but them 10 angels was over thousands of angels. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The order in place. So so how did Jethro know that? He just told him how to set it up. Let me read the last part again. It says, if thou shalt do this thing, this is what Jethro told Moses, God command thee so, then shalt thou be able to stand, and all the people shall come to their place in peace. So Moses hearkened unto the voice of his father-in-law, and did all that he had said. And Moses chose men of ability. Go to the fallen angels, the 200 that came down. Moses chose men of ability out of all Israel, and made them heads over the people, officers over 1,000, officers over 100, officers over 50, officers over 10s, and they judged the people. The same thing in heaven. The angels that came down was in the same setup. You got angels, officers. You got angels in heaven that's over 10. You got all angels over 100. You got angels that are over 10. Same thing. So this is what Jethro gave Moses the knowledge of. It's only one place he could have got it. He got it from Abraham, and it was the book of Enoch. Okay, let that frame it. Says, and on the 3rd month, after the children of Israel were gone out of the land, the people for all the earth is mine. For skip the page. It says, and on the 3rd month, the children of Israel were gone out of the land of Egypt. The same day came they into the desert of Sinai, where they had journeyed from Rephidim, and were come to the desert of Sinai, and had encamped in the desert. And there Israel encamped before the mountain. And Moses went up unto God, and the Eternal called unto him out of the mountain, saying, thus shalt thou say to the house of Jacob, and tell the children of Israel, ye have seen what I did unto the Egyptians, and how I bore you on eagle's wings, and brought you unto to myself. Now therefore, if ye will obey my voice indeed, and keep my covenant, then ye shall be a select portion unto me above all the people, for all the earth is mine, and ye shall be unto me a kingdom of priests and holy nation. These are the words which thou shalt speak unto the children of Israel. And Moses came and called the elders of the people, put before them all these words which the Eternal commanded him. And all the people answered together and said, all that the Eternal hath spoken, we will do. And Moses returned all the words of the people unto the Eternal. And the Eternal said unto Moses, Behold, I come unto thee in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with thee, and also believe in thee forever. And Moses took the words of the people unto the Eternal, and the Eternal said unto Moses, Go unto the people, sanctify them to the day of tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes and be ready against the third day. So remember the prophecy that Hosea gave us. That when we go back, he said 2 days, and the third day he's gonna raise us up. For on the third day, the Eternal will come down before the eyes of all the people upon the Mount Sinai, and thou shalt set bounds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves that ye go not up into the mountain, or touch the extremities of it. Whosoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. There shall not be a hand touch him. So look at this. He commanded them not to touch the mountain, but look how it's worded, that ye go not up unto the mountain, or touch the extremities of it. Whosoever touches the mountain shall surely be put to death. Now listen, check this out. There shall not a hand touch him. See that? So when you touch the mountain, you touch him. So there shall not be a hand touch him, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through, whether it be a beast or a man. It shall not live. While the jubilant sound, hear what Michelle was talking about earlier, about the horns, and they heard the horns, right? It says, while the jubilant sound is drawing out, they shall come up to the mountain. And Moses went down from the mountain unto the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, Be ready against the third day. Step not nigh unto a woman. That means don't go into a woman, have no sex with her. See, and it came to pass on the third day. Here you go about the trumpets. And it came pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunder and lightning and a heavy cloud upon the mountain, and the voice of the clarinet. Here it is, the clarinet exceedingly strong, so that all the people that were in the camp trembled. And Moses brought forth the people out of the camp toward God, and they placed themselves at the neither part of the mountain. And Mount Sinai was altogether on smoke, because the Eternal went down upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof went up as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount trembled greatly, and the voice of the clarinet, see that, went on stronger and stronger, right? Moses spake, and God answered him by a voice, and the Eternal came down upon Mount Sinai on the top of the mountain, and the Eternal called Moses up to the top of the mountain. Moses went up, and the Eternal said unto Moses, Go down, charge the people, lest they break through toward the Eternal to see, and many of them fail. And let the priests, right, also, who step nigh unto the Eternal, sanctify themselves, lest the Eternal burst forth upon them. And Moses said unto the Eternal, The people cannot come up to the Mount Sinai, for thou chargest us, saying, Set bounds about the mountain and sanctify it. And the Eternal said to him, Go down, thou shalt come up, thou and Aaron with thee, but let not the priests and the people break through, come up unto the Eternal, lest he burst forth upon them. So Moses went down unto the people, spake unto them. And God spake all these words, saying, I am the Eternal thy God, who have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of servants. Thou shalt have no other gods before me, my face. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the waters under the earth. Thou shalt not prostrate thyself to them, nor serve them. For I, the Eternal, thy God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto 1,000 generations of those that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of the eternal thy God in vain, for the eternal will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day, sanctify it. 6 days mayest thou labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the eternal thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, okay? Nor thy sons, nor thy daughter, thy servants, nor thy maidservants, nor thy beast, nor the stranger. Here we go, right here. Nor the stranger that is within thy gates. For it is 6 days the eternal made heaven and earth, the sea, and all them in it, and rested on the seventh day. Therefore the eternal blessed the Sabbath day, sanctified it. However, honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the ground, which the eternal God giveth thee. Thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not commit adultery, and thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy fellow man, thou shalt not covet thy fellow man's house, thou shalt not covet thy fellow man's wife, nor his manservants, nor his maidservants, nor any of his herd, nor his ass, nor anything that is in thy fellow man's, that it belongeth to thy fellow man. Okay, keep going. And all the people saw the thundering and the lightning and the flaming torches and the voice of the clarinet. See that? And all the people saw the thundering and the light and the flaming torches. We ain't never been told about the clarinet, the horns. It says, and the voices of the clarinet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they moved and stood afar off. So this is my point. Somebody got to be playing clarinet. If they hearing a clarinet, somebody got to be playing it. That's that front mate. So it says, and stood afar off, and they said unto Moses, speak thou with us, and we will hear. But let not God speak unto us, lest we die. And Moses said unto the people, fear not, for God has come in order to try you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that ye sin not. And the people stood afar off, and Moses stepped near unto the thick darkness where God was, and the Eternal said unto Moses, thus thou shalt say unto the children of Israel, ye have seen that I have spoken to you from heaven. Okay? If ye shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall ye make unto you gods of gold. An altar of earth thou shalt make unto me, and shall sacrifice therein thy burnt offerings, and thy feast offerings, and thy flocks, and thine herds, in all the places where I have mentioned my name, and I will come unto thee, and I will bless thee. And if thou wilt make me an altar of stone, thou shalt not build it of huge stone. So huge stone is fashioned, shaping it, fashioning it with an axe or with a mallet or whatever you use, like they did in Egypt. Now here, look what he says. For if thou wave thine iron tool, if you not strike it, but if you just wave the iron tool, okay, let's get it. Above it, if you just wave an iron tool above the stone, thou hast profaned it. Neither shall thou go up by steps unto mine altar, that thy nakedness may be uncovered thereon. So what are you talking about? When you go up the steps, the high steps like they do at the altars that they make, you can see under the person's clothes. That's shameful. Okay? Anyway, now these are the judgments which thou shalt put before them. If thou obtain, here you go. That's what I was talking about the Hebrew right here. So he says, if thou obtain a Hebrew servant, see that? That's the Hebrews that they're not Israelites. Just like I said, Abraham, Jethro, all of them, they ain't Israelites. So it's Hebrews all over the place. From Abraham and from the lineage from Noah all the way to you get to Abraham, it's These other sons and daughters, they're Hebrews. So he says, let me get it. Now, these are the judgments which thou shalt put before them. If thou obtain a Hebrew servant, see that? If thou obtain a Hebrew servant, 6 years he shall serve. And in the seventh he shall go off free from nothing. Go to Jacob. If he came in by himself, if he came to you by himself, he shall go out by himself. Check it out. If he be married, then his wife shall go out with him. If his Lord, the person that's over him, like I said, there's more than one Lord. You got to understand what Lord you're dealing with. If his Lord have given him a wife, and she have borne him sons or daughters, the wife and her children shall be her lord's, and he shall go out by himself. And if the servant shall plainly say, I love my Lord, my wife and my children, I will not go out free. Then his Lord shall cause him to step unto the judges. Go to judges. He shall also cause him to step unto the door or unto the door post, and his Lord shall bore in his ear through with an hour, and he shall serve him forever. Okay, keep going. And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant, she shall not go out as the manservant do. If she be evil in the eyes of her Lord, who have betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be released, to sell her unto an alien people, and he shall have no power, seeing he have dealt deceitfully with her. And if he have betrothed her unto his son, he shall do unto her after the manner of daughters. If he take him another wife, her substance, her raiment, and her duty of marriage shall not diminish. And if he do not do these things, and if he be, if he do not these three unto her, then shall she go out, okay, free without money. He that smiteth a man so that he die shall surely be put to death. And if a man lie not in wait, but God let him fall into his hands, then I will appoint thee the place where thou shalt flee. But if a man act presumptuously against his fellow man to slay him with guile, thou shalt take him from mine altar. Right? So your example of what he just said, if a man set presumptuously against his fellow man to slay him with guile, thou shalt take him from mine altar. So that's when the example is Joab. He had killed that Amashah, and he had killed his brother. So when Solomon took the throne, in order to take the blood off of David's hand, he had killed Joab. But Joab ran in the temple to the altar. But Solomon told him, go into the altar, go into the temple and take him on the altar and kill him. That's what he's talking about right here. It says, if a man act something against his fellow man to slay him with guile, thou shalt take him from mine altar, right, that he may die. And he that smites his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. And he that stealeth a man and selleth him, he shall be previously found in his hand, and he shall surely be put to death. And he that curses his father or his mother shall surely be put to death. And if a man quarrel, and a man smite his fellow man with a stone or with his fist, and he die not, but keepeth his bed, if he rise again and walk abroad upon his staff, then shall he that smote him be freed. Only he shall pay for the loss of his time, and shall cause him to be thoroughly healed. Okay, see where we at. Okay. And if a man smite his servant or his maidservant with a rod, and he die under his hand, he shall surely he shall be surely avenged. Notwithstanding, if he continue a day or two, he shall not be avenged, for he is his money. If a man strive and hurt a woman with child, so that her fruit depart from her, and yet there be no mischief further, he shall be immersed, according to the husband or the wife wife will lay upon him, and he shall give as an arbiter determined. And if there be any further mischief, then thou shalt give soul for soul, eye for eye, tooth for a tooth, for hand, foot for foot, burning for burning, wound for wound, wheat for wheat. And if a man smite the eye of his servant or the eye of his maidservant, and came and caused it to perish, he shall let him go free for his eye's sake. And if he causes his manservant's tooth or his maidservant's tooth to fall out, he shall let him go free for his tooth's sake. If one of a herd thrust a man or a woman that he died, then that one of the herd shall surely be stoned, and his flesh shall not be eaten, but the owner shall be guiltless. But if one of a herd have been wont to thrust in times past, and it have been testified to his owner, and he have not kept him in, but that he have put to death a man or a woman, that one of the herd shall be stoned, and his owner shall also perish. If there be set on him a ransom, then shall he give for the ransom of his soul whatsoever is set upon him, whether he have thrust a son or have thrust a daughter, according to the judgment shall it be done unto him. If one of the herds shall thrust a maidservant or a manservant or a maidservant, he shall give unto their Lord 30 shekels of silver, and that one of the herd shall be stoned. And if a man shall open a pit, or if a man shall dig a pit and not cover it, and one of the herd or an ass fall therein, the owner of the pit shall pay for it and restore the money, okay, unto the owner of them, and the dead beast shall be his. And if one of the man's herd hurt one of the herd of his fellow man, that he die, then they shall sell the live one of the herd, and half of the money of it, and the dead one also they shall have. Or it is known that the one of the herd was wont to thrust in time past, and his owner have not kept him in, he shall surely pay of a herd for one of a herd, and the dead shall be his own. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. Anybody got any comments on anything I read right there? I'm gonna find something I want to shine a light on. Anybody got any comments on anything I read? Anything ring a bell?
I just think it's interesting that all of these punishments for transgressions against servants,
Right,
that you don't see that wasn't in the slave Bible.
exactly. Right, and then not only that, you can see that they try to duplicate what the statute of the Most High gave us with the slave thing. Can you see that?
Yeah, they always manipulate or change it
Right.
to their benefit, but it's just interesting. Just there was, if you say that things are supposed to be decent in order, for a better way of saying it, and you don't, you only pull out what it is to your benefit, then it's out of order, and
Right.
you're not gonna profit from that.
Right. Is there some? Yeah, I want to see. I hadn't seen this. I was reading this morning. I hadn't seen it nowhere else. Is what? Or I think they took it out of the King James. Let me try to find it. Uh, okay. 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 Give me a minute. I'm almost there. Okay. There you go. Okay. This is what the song they were singing. Yeah. So let me read this right here. It says, let me get it. This right after the Most High killed the Egyptians in the sea, right? It says, and Moses stretched forth his hand over the sea, and the sea returned to its continuously at the turning of the morning, and the Egyptians fled toward it, and the eternal overthrew the Egyptians in the midst of the sea, and the waters returned and covered the chariots and the horsemen and all the forces of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them, and there remained not so much as one of them. But the children of Israel walked upon dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall unto them on their right and on their left. Thus the eternal saved, see that? Thus the eternal saved, he's going to save you right here, saved Israel that day out of the hands of Egypt. And Israel saw the Egyptians dead upon the seashore, and Israel saw the great works which the Eternal did upon Egypt, and say, and the people feared the Eternal and believed in the Eternal and in Moses, his servant. Okay, so here we go. They took this out. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song. So this is going to tell you who the Eternal is. Unto the Eternal, and said as follows, I will sing unto the Eternal. Check it out. For he is gloriously sublime. The horse and his rider have be hurled into the sea. The Eternal is my might and my hymn, and he is become my salvation. See that? He has become my salvation. Somebody else was over here before that. He has become my salvation. He is my God, and I will glorify him, my Father's God, and I will exalt him. The Eternal is a man of war. See that? That's why David is a man of war. It said David has the heart of God, right? So the Eternal is a man of war. The Eternal is his name. Okay? This is a song. Okay? Pharaoh's chariots and his forces have he cast into the sea, and the choices of his fighting men are sunk into the Red Sea. The murmuring depths have covered them. They went down to the bottom of the stones. Thy right hand, O Eternal, is become glorious in power. The right hand of Eternal have dashed in pieces the enemy, and in the greatness of thine excellency, thou hast overthrown them that rose up against thee. Thou sendest forth thy wrath, which consumed them as stubble, and with the blast of thy nostrils, the waters were heaped up. Okay? The floods were placed as a mound, and the murmuring depths were congealed in the heart of the sea. The enemy said, I will pursue, and I will overtake. I will divide the spoils, and my soul shall be full of them. And I will draw my sword, my hand shall dispossess them. Thou didst blow with thy wind, and the sea covered them. Okay? They dropped like lead into the mighty waters. Here you go. Who is likened unto thee, O Eternal, among the mighty beings? See that? Among the angels. See that? Who is likened unto thee, O Eternal, among the mighty beings? So they are all angels. See that? Els. Who is like thee, glorious and holy, fearful in praises, doing wonderful things? Thou stretchest out thy right hand, the earth swallow them. Thou in thy mercy hast gilded the people which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast reduced them in thy might unto the abode of thy holiness. People shall hear and be agitated. Pain shall seize the inhabitants of Pashleth. Then the chieftains of Edom, check it out, this is what they're going to tell us. The chieftains of Edom shall be amazed. The powerful of Moab quickly shall seize them. Quaking shall seize them. All the inhabitants of Canaan shall despond. Horror and dread shall fall upon them. By the greatness of thy arm, they shall be as still as a stone till thy people pass. So this is when they left Egypt, passed through. Remember the story we talked about in Moab, Balaam and Balak, right? So they saw, like I was saying, they saw all this. Just like when we fled in 143 BC and went to Africa, they know all that. They saw that multitude that fled. They saw the multitude that came out of Egypt and came into the land of Canaan. That's what he's telling you right here. After they saw all the things he done, right? And then it says, thou in thy mercy has gilded the people which thou hast redeemed. Thou hast conducted them in thy might unto the abode of holiness. People shall hear and be agitated. Pain shall seize the inhabitants of the. So they saw it. People that saw it, it pained them. Then the chieftains of Edom, they saw it, shall be amazed. The powerful of Moab, quaking shall seize them. All inhabitants of Canaan, all the Canaanites shall despond. Horror and dread shall fall upon them. By the greatness of thy arm, they shall be as still as a stone till thy people pass. So they came till they got to the land of Israel. Okay, O Eternal, till the people pass, which thou hast purchased. Thou shalt bring them in and plant them in the mountains of thine. See that? His mountains. Like I said, Yahweh don't live on no mountain. It says, and plant them in the mountain of thine inheritance. See that? In the establishment, O Eternal, which thou hast made for thy residence. In the sanctuary, O Eternal, which thy hand have established. The Eternal shall reign forever and ever. For the horse of Pharaoh came in with his chariots and with his horsemen into the sea, and Eternal brought again the waters of the sea upon them. But the children of Israel went on dry land in the midst of the sea. And Miriam, here you go, Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took the timbrel, right? It's an instrument, musical instrument, in her hand. And all the women went out after her with timbrels and with dances. And Miriam answered them, sing ye to the Eternal, for he is gloriously sublime, and the horse and his rider have he hurled into the sea. So Moses caused Israel to journey from the Red Sea, and they went out into the desert of Shur. Okay, and they went 3 days in the desert and found no water. And when they came to Moriah, they could not drink of the waters of Moriah. So we know that story. But I just wanted to read that part right there. When the song of Moses and what they were singing tells you who the Lord of the hosts is. Any comments or questions?
Shalom. And
Okay.
as you were reading it, and at the end, where they're doing the singing and the praising about it, it just gives them more confidence in reassuring that the Lord of hosts was with them and will continue to be with them through it. So that was given our forefathers that bring down to us that now that we're into the truth and connecting the dots, we should be confident to spread the word or be confident in ourselves to know that we can proceed on and seek and find what the Lord has for us.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody want to pick a scripture, then we can break it down, then we'll close out. Anybody got a scripture? Okay. Let me see if I can do one. Okay. Yeah, so what I do is I go to Genesis chapter 1. We saw how the Lord of hosts was manipulating the water, and how in that song they were singing how he did the water, how he manipulated the water and all that. So like I said before, here you go right here. It shouldn't be surprising that he can manipulate the water. I mean, that was him when the flood, when he brought the flood. It says, in the beginning, God, Yahweh, created the heavens and the earth, then verse 2. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, upon the water. The whole earth covered with water. And the God, the Spirit of God, the angel of God, the Michael, moved upon the water. So that's who manipulating the water. We know that right in this very story right here, the water was divided. Half of it went up in the firmament, and the other half is on the earth. So he the one that's manipulating the water. So it shouldn't be no surprise what he was able to do when he drowned the Pharaoh and the Egyptian army. That's him. Okay. Anybody got any questions or comments before we go? Okay. So with that being said, we got our men's line tomorrow night, men's advanced Bible study. The women can come in through YouTube. And if that don't happen, I'll see everybody on Saturday for our morning Shabbat class, and then we'll take it from there. So with that being said, I'll say shalom, shalom, and another shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom, everyone.
I highly recommend that you get this book and you read it, because it's a must that you understand who God head is in the order that's in the Old Testament and Tanakh, because it's not the same as in the New Testament. And when you read this and you get an understanding, then the scriptures open up, and then you begin to understand. So I highly recommend that you get this book. It's the Elohim of Israel, and it's a breakdown on the word Elohim and who the God of Israel is, and the Godhead.